Hello everyone, this is Jeff with Walk and Talk with Warden Jeff. It is a hot, muggy, humid day again today. Hear the locust off in the background just about everywhere I walk this morning. I wanted to tell you a story. When I worked at a high medium security facility, I was the lieutenant in charge of the chow hall this evening, and I was calling the chow lines and things like that. Well, everything was going very smooth. It was chicken day, which chicken day was always where everybody shows up to eat. Everything was calm, everything was going good. Pretty hot in the kitchen that day. And I got a phone call at the back office, or there wasn't an office actually, it was next to an office on the wall. The phone was. And the guy come and got me and said, "Hey, you got a phone call, Lou." So I walk back there and everything's calm, the kitchen's calm, everything's good. I get back there and I get on the phone, I'm talking to an officer in a cell house. And about that time I hear a little ruckus off to my side there, and I look up and there's these two officers trying to get this inmate up to the front so they can get his ID card to throw him out of the kitchen, I guess, to kick him out of the kitchen and to write him a disciplinary report. What he done was he'd reached over the line. I guess he saw the lieutenant was there. The lieutenant was gone, just two officers standing there. Reached over the line and grabbed him a handful of chicken. Well, he can't do that. So the officers told him that they needed his ID. He wouldn't give his ID card up. So the officers told him to come back to the back. And I guess they had a little trouble with him getting him up to where I was at. So he gets about 10 feet from me, and he breaks loose from the officers. One officer kind of had him by the arm. They didn't have him handcuffed. Was the problem. That was, that's security 101. You need to get him handcuffed if you can. Well, the inmate saw me talking on the phone, ran straight over there to me, and this guy was probably about 6'4", go about 250. Older fella. He was probably, gosh, at that time he was probably in his 40s. And for an inmate, that's an older fella. As most of them, as you know, are probably 18 to 25 is the age group of most of them. This guy looks at me while I'm talking on the phone, runs towards me with his fist drawn back, and I thought, why in the world is this guy going to try to hit me? I haven't done a thing. He swings at me, I ducked, and when I ducked, he knocked the phone off the wall. Left me standing there holding the receiver. I don't know why he was swinging at me, he just did. So when he swung at me, I ducked. And he come back, he swung with his left hand. He come back at me with the right hand, and when he did, the officers were standing there. The officers both jumped on him. I jumped on him, took him down to the ground, took me, two officers, and another lieutenant to finally get the guy corralled up and get him handcuffed to get him out of the chow hall. This was all over him reaching over the line and grabbing 2 or 3 pieces of chicken, which he probably wouldn't even have went to isolation or segregation for. He probably would have just got a major ticket, sitting, back to the unit, not being able to finish his meal that evening. And then he would have got fed later on. But that's not the way it happened. He decided that he would try to assault me because that's just the way their minds work. That's anger. Anger overrules most of them. So anyway, we get the guy down finally, and I said, well, I'm going to take him to segregation. So the other lieutenant, I told the other lieutenant, I said, you continue calling chow lines. I'm going to take this guy down there because I want to find out what's going on with him for real. So as we're walking down there, I said, what is up with you, man? I said, over a couple pieces of chicken, you're going to try to take my head off? I said, you even know me? He says, yeah, I know you. He said, I can't stand you. I said, well, well, thank you. Why? I said, what, have I ever done anything to you in the past? He said, no. He said, I watch you calling these chow lines like you're some kind of king or something. He said, you ain't no king. He said, you don't run nothing. I said, well, I run the chow hall. And I said, and right now, I'm taking you to segregation because you tried to swing on me. I said, you do realize now you're going to get more time over me. I said, because you dislike me so much that you're gonna have some more time. He said, don't care. He said, it'd been worth it. He said, if I took your head off. I mean, the guy was really being mean to me, I would like to say it hurt my feelings, but it really didn't. So anyway, we finally get the guy down there to segregation, and he decides that he is not going to cuff up, or uncuff, I mean. He said, nope. He said, I'm not going nowhere. He said, I'm not going anywhere. He said, all I want is 2 minutes in a cell with that lieutenant. I said, well, I said, that's not the way things work around here. I said, we don't settle differences fighting. The officers don't, lieutenants don't, nobody does. He said, why? Because you're scared? I said, no, because I'm smart. I said, because tonight I'm going to go home and you're not. And that's just the way it's going to be tonight. He said, well, just remember. He said, I know who you are. And I said, well, that's good. I said, I know who you are too, and I'll see you in court here in a few months. So the inmate did wound up getting shipped out of our facility because, you know, his dislike for me, for whatever reason it was. And he had to come back, and he got 3 years, attempted assault, damaged state property because he destroyed the phone. This is where he hit the phone. But anyway, the story ends where the guy comes back and gets the 3 years, and in court, I wasn't there during this part. I was only there to testify during my little part, what had happened, and then I had to leave the courtroom. They make you leave the courtroom, and I had already left the courtroom. But they said when he was in the courtroom, he said, I want to see that lieutenant before I go back to the joint. And the judge said, no. He says, you're not going to see the lieutenant before you're back to the joint. He said, officers take him. He said, all I wanted to do was apologize to him. He said, I actually had the wrong lieutenant. He said, the guy I hated wasn't him. He said, it was a different guy. He said, I just wanted to even know that. So I don't know where he got us mixed up or what happened. I guess because we all wore white shirts, you know, and with the lieutenant bar. But he had me mixed up with another guy. So that just goes to show how calm day, a very nice, easygoing chow line is running. And all of a sudden, in a matter of a split second, you got a guy trying to take your head off. And not because he hates you, it's because he hates somebody else in the long run. And he's trying to take my head off. So, anyway, that's my story today. I hope you all have a great day. And please like, subscribe, and comment on my page. I'm out.